Hi everyone, for this module we're going to look at characteristics of learning disabilities. Our learning objectives for this module include reviewing the types of disabilities that are defined as specific learning disabilities by IDEA. We're going to recognize characteristics of students with learning disabilities, discuss how those characteristics impact student performance, and then identify misconceptions about students with learning disabilities. Some key terms that we're going to see during this module include learning disability, specific learning disabilities, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyslexia, nonverbal learning disabilities, and oral or written language disorder and specific reading comprehension deficit. We are going to start by backtracking just a little bit and thinking about what are learning disabilities? What learning disabilities do you see in the classroom? The types of learning disabilities that are identified by IDEA include dyscalculia. That affects a person's ability to understand numbers and learn math facts. Dysgraphia, that affects a person's handwriting ability and fine motor skills. Dyslexia affects reading and related language-based processing skills. Nonverbal learning disabilities present difficulty in interpreting nonverbal cues like facial expressions or body language. Students may also have poor coordination. An oral or written language disorder and specific reading comprehension deficit affects an individual's understanding of what they read or of spoken language. The ability to express oneself with oral language may also be impacted. We also know that learning disabilities are disorders that do not include things that result from visual, hearing, or motor difficulties. They're not a result of intellectual disabilities. They cannot be attributed to an emotional disturbance or environmental, cultural, or economic disadvantages. When we look at the frequency of learning disabilities in our schools, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, in the school year 2018-2019, specific learning disabilities comprised 33% of those students who were served in special education. So that was the biggest population of students served in special ed. We're going to start with a KWL chart. I'm going to have you take just a minute and think about the characteristics of learning disabilities when you think of your students in your classroom who have those learning disabilities. Think about what characteristics do they have, list those, and then think about what do you want to know about those characteristics, and we will complete the learned part at the end. When we look at academic characteristics regarding math skills, we know that these students display poor mathematical fluency. They have difficulty memorizing multiplication tables. They have difficulty identifying multiples or factors. They display poor basic calculation skills. They have difficulty understanding word or application problems, a poor understanding of mathematical concepts. They have difficulty sorting out irrelevant information. They may also have lower visual perception and visual spatial ability, and that might impact their ability to do subjects like geometry. They may display an inability to transfer those basic math concepts to solve problems that give them unpredictable information that they weren't expecting. They can also display an inability to use basic facts with more complex calculations. So that would impact their ability to do math in the general education classroom as it gets more difficult each year. We can look at academic characteristics of students with learning disabilities in the area of reading. We know that they have poor decoding skills, poor reading fluency. They may have a lack of self-monitoring ability regarding their own reading skills, poor comprehension and retention of what's been taught, difficulty identifying important ideas in context, difficulty integrating new ideas to existing knowledge. They may have weak vocabulary skills, a lot of difficulty understanding words or grammar, difficulty recognizing high frequency words. Their oral comprehension is going to be noticeably stronger than what they were able to read by themselves. They may have difficulty in controlling eye movements across a page when they're reading. Academic characteristics for spelling would include frequent spelling errors of high frequency words, difficulty with homonyms, difficulty in connecting the relationship between phonics and written language. They may have no understanding of common spelling rules or an inadequate understanding of phonics, even with instruction. In the area of written expression, they may display poor writing fluency, difficulty composing complete grammatically correct sentences, difficulty organizing written information, poor handwriting and alignment. They may show an inability to take notes or copy information from a book or the board, and then they may have weak proofreading skills. There are also some deficits that students with learning disabilities display regarding oral language skills, such as an inability to hear small differences between sounds. They may have difficulty articulating thoughts or ideas orally, difficulty pronouncing words, an inability to blend sounds together to form words, difficulty listening and responding to a series of directions. They may also be disorganized in their recall of facts or details, including sequencing of events. In addition to academic deficits, some of the characteristics that we may see for students with learning disabilities are regarding their performance in a classroom. These students may appear to be unmotivated in the classroom. They may process information at a slower rate than the rest of the students. They may display difficulty in following directions, have a short attention span. These students may be distractible or restless. They may make impulsive decisions. They can sometimes be difficult to discipline. They may display difficulty in adjusting to change or new settings, new circumstances. And they may have poor self-esteem and show a low level of self-confidence in their own ability. There are some accommodations that can be used to assist students who have learning disabilities in the classroom. Some suggested accommodations include providing an alternative method to complete assignments. This might be a way for them to use a creative side or find a way that they're more comfortable to turn that in. The opportunity to have lectures recorded or notes provided for a lecture. Use of visual supports when possible, including diagrams, use of manipulatives in math to help them. They may need simplified explanations, a sequenced set of steps in order to solve a math problem or complete a science lab. Frequent comprehension checks, checking to ensure along the way that they have understood what's been taught so far. Opportunity to respond orally. They may need their test questions read aloud. And an honest encouragement of student effort, even if the only thing that we're able to encourage them about is their effort or what they've done on an assignment. It is important to remember that one size does not fit all when it comes to students, the characteristics of learning disabilities. Not every student will display the same characteristics. We cannot give every student the same accommodations. We need to be sure that we are individualizing those accommodations and recognizing the characteristics for each individual student. There are some common misconceptions about students with learning disabilities. You may hear that learning disabilities can be easily identified when students are young. That may not be true. It is difficult, or it can be difficult because of developmental milestones that they have hit, exposure at home. Students have to display a pattern of strengths and weaknesses or demonstrate that they have not responded to interventions in order to qualify with a learning disability. Learning disabilities indicate a low IQ. They are not indicative of a low IQ. It is not related. Learning disabilities improve as students get older. That is not necessarily true. Students may find other compensatory skills that assist them in the classroom to be successful or show improvement. It doesn't mean their disability has improved, just that they have found ways to work around it. Students with learning disabilities are simply unmotivated. That's not true, although it is a characteristic that they appear to be unmotivated. They may just not have the ability to know where to start. Organization is a challenge can be a challenge for students with learning disabilities. So they may just need assistance in finding that starting point and knowing where to go. Learning disabilities are a result of students' home lives. Again, that is not a true statement. And accommodations given to students with a learning disability give them an unfair advantage. They don't. Accommodations are intended to get everyone to the same starting point so that we can all access the same curriculum and make sure that everybody can demonstrate what they know using those accommodations. Okay, at this point, you would fill in your KWL chart to think about, was there anything that you learned that you could write down? And for an activity reflection, either independently or with someone at your table, think about a student that you've had with a learning disability or a suspected learning disability. Using the presentation printout, look back at those academic and performance characteristics that students may display. And with your table partners, share a way that you addressed or that you might address that characteristic for that student. There are some additional resources that you may look at to look more at characteristics and identifying learning disabilities in the classroom. And then finally, a quiz for you to take. It's a short 10-question quiz that just gives a basic understanding of learning disabilities and some of those characteristics.